unceasing and tireless work. She's uniquely the very first woman in the United States history to be Speaker of the House. I wish her and her family well tonight, and I would ask you to give her an applause for her service to the nation. I raise her name because the kind of misinformation does not, in fact, generate the kind of democracy that I believe is important for those who come to this nation. So collectively together, we must stand for truth, stand against what has been called in the nomenclature of politics the big lie. Because I think we are better as a people. We get things done. We open our doors to those who come. We're able to engage with countries like Pakistan. We're able to ensure that there is a commonality of work. When we get rid of the big lie and we are a nation that welcomes all, and we're a nation that supports democracy, we're the defenders of democracy. For I am well informed of Dr. Jinnah's desire when Pakistan was founded, that it was founded on democratic principles. I love reading the story of his relationship in the early years, deciding Pakistan's future. I'm also aware of IMI's inspiration, for I am told that it comes in these words: "And whoso saveth the life of one, it shall be as if he had saved the life of mankind." What a powerful and moment of presence. For in this nation, there are levels of people who need that kind of service. For as rich as we are, the most wealthy country, a very prominent nation, we find our pockets of poverty, and we need you, IMI, your spirit, to be able to save mankind. We can thank you for that. Thank you for the work that you've done in disasters here in the United States. I thank the doctors who joined me in the midst of Hurricane Harvey and hurricanes that have come and gone. I know there are doctors working in Florida in the midst of Hurricane Ian, and tragedies that befall us for natural disasters, from wind to fire to flooding to hurricanes. Doctors have come to be the source of saving lives. When the flood of biblical proportion hit Pakistan these last months, as the waters remained, I wanted to rush as quickly as I could as chair and founder of the Pakistan Caucus to be able to arrive and to show our connection, our empathy, our reason for our connection, and the power of the Pakistan Caucus in the United States Congress. We were the first Americans to arrive. And yes, it is a biblical proportion. And this coalition government was able to ensure that we went directly into the region, having flown all night. With a few hours of sleep, we're able to go with the Army Chief of Staff's detail. Flying and surveying, it took my breath away. There was water everywhere. It was an ocean, not able to drain. The Punjab area that is, in many instances, one of the most impoverished provinces. As far as we can see the water. We can see people stranded. We were told of those who lost everything, and those who are trying to preserve their livestock, who had lost their wheat that they had stored great need for medical care and the 70,000 births that were going to come between September and even now. As we came, so did then members of the State Department, USAID. The Americans began to come, and as we met and learned what we needed, while we were there, more money came from President Biden. We gave the most amount initially at $30 million, and we have collectively, one month after another, provided more dollars to Pakistan for this flood, and 300,000 cents from the United States government. We're not finished yet, because what you're doing here tonight, raising dollars for a powerful medical facility. As we do in the United States, we have the major institution, and then that institution can begin to satellite into areas that have no access until all of the people have access to care. That is what we should want in Pakistan. When we were on the ground, we were able to go to Dadu, meet with those who had recently been rescued. One of those was a gentleman who had just recently had a kidney transplant, and he had lost all of his medicine. I'd like to think that we had a little bit to do with getting the military to go and fly in his medicine to him so that he could continue to thrive and live. These are examples of how important medical care is. So I'm celebrating tonight as I look at this concept that will provide direct medical services. I'm excited to take this message back to the United States Congress, my colleagues. I'm excited to know that we can partner together on issues of health care. And I'm excited to know, to tell my colleagues here in the state of Texas to stop denying us the right to have expanded Medicaid here under the Affordable Care Act. Because Texas has not yet stood up to accept expanded Medicaid, and those doctors that are here in Texas stand with me to demand that we accept expanded Medicaid so that your patients and others and hospital doors can stay open to serve even the people of the state of Texas. Let me, as I mentioned doctors and the work that you do, let me also mention our supporting nurses and nurse practitioners and medical personnel that provide the very infrastructure of medical care in this nation. Thank you so very much for your work. Let me also acknowledge the volunteers who ran this organization for more than 5 years. And thank you for the direction in the future that you're going. Again, let me note the new chapters in places where I've been. New chapter in Iraq, in Ireland, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Tanzania, and Turkey. You are on the move. You are on the move. And your growth is phenomenal. Our Constitution begins by saying, in the United States, to create a more perfect union. I've always wondered why health care was not a provision in our Constitution. It is the very lifeline of our people. I would add health care, constitutional right, a birthright, and education. Two of the most seismic parts of changing a community, changing a nation, improving a people. And so I'm delighted. The IMI represents that sense of giving, mind for early detection. Without early detection of any form of cancer, your ability to survive diminishes. So doctors, you are crucial to the many different populations who confront the high degree of diabetes, high blood pressure, stroke that derives from that, cancer of many different kinds. In my work in the United States Congress, I've worked on prostate cancer research. I've worked on breast cancer and triple-negative breast cancer. And just this week, we were with the Secretary of Health and Human Services, who was, in fact, here on the moonshots that have been so very important in our research. So I'm most grateful again for the work that you are doing, the academic work that you're doing, and of course, your roadmap to IMI's virtual university, e-learning, the unveiling of the newly redesigned IMI website, and your whole ability to communicate. I am grateful to you. Let me now simply share with you this thing called American politics as I close my remarks. And let me thank you for your attentiveness. I'm always grateful for the politeness of an audience, whether or not they understand my focus or not, whether or not they agree with it. The goodness of America is that we should receive each other, even in our disagreement. But I believe the Pakistan Caucus has been a powerful voice for all of you. We have stood in the gap when there have been the attempt to take away funding. We've opened the doors of opportunity for your youth to come to Washington, to work in the White House, to work in the United States Congress. And we ask you to send more youth to be exposed to the halls of Congress and to the White House, to bring their brilliance there. But I ask you again, what is the role of an American citizen, no matter from which direction he or she has come? Whether they have flown here, whether they were in Pilgrim's Pride in the early history of America, whether or not they've come from our southern and central border, from the south border, from Central and Southern America, whether they've come from the Asia Pacific or Southeast Asia, whether they've come from the continent of Africa, or whether they have historically been here, either starting out as slaves or, as I indicated, coming the royalty of Pilgrim's Pride. Our job is as defenders of democracy. And I've begun to tell the story of January 6, 2021. I did not tell it in the aftermath. I have not spoken about it, even as we proceeded in this congressional session. It was something that I just experienced and did not speak about. But as I close, I began in this election year with the toxicity of every ad that could be imagined. I imagine you are overwhelmed with negativism in this election time. But I remember the shrieking sound of telling us in the chamber to run, because we could the chief responsibility that we had was to return to see the peaceful transition of government. I'm proud of the Americans who did that. And I'm grateful that at 4 a.m. that morning, we gavelled down, and I had the privilege of having the gavel, and we finished our work. The president transitioned into power, the vice president, and we restored faith to this nation. We restored faith to the world that was watching. It does not matter what our walk of life. It does not matter how we got here. It does not matter what status we have. If we are on this soil, we are defenders of democracy. We can love our native land, visit, and connect to our family members without a sense of ego, without any grandiose bragging. America does stand as a beacon of light to this world that is getting smaller by the moment. Man or woman, boy or girl, we must pay attention to those words. We have organized to create a more perfect union, the words of the Constitution. The Declaration of Independence, when America, small little colonies, declared themselves independent, they said we all are created equal, with certain inalienable rights of life and liberty in the pursuit of happiness. As I stand in this audience tonight, I'm gratified that we are free, that we have the right to ingress and egress, that there are no armed guards standing around listening and chastising our speech and telling us what we can say and not say. That's what this election is about. Most would say, not in America, and I would say yes. For whenever you have a moment that causes you to believe that it cannot happen here, I raise the day of January 6, 2021. Grateful that we overcame. Grateful that we did what John Lewis told us to do, the great civil rights leader. My dear friend, and said, never give up, never give in, never give out. The very fact that you are here in this room shows me that you are people who have never given up, never given in, never given out. Man or woman or family, you have stood for what is good. And I am delighted to salute IMI for its work, ground-changing work. I salute you not as grasshoppers, but I salute you as tree shakers, change agents, making not only changes in this nation, but around the world. So my brothers and sisters, no matter who we are, as Muslims and as not, as the Muslims in this room, the IMI, as the Shia, you are in fact those who can make a difference. And I am saying on this day, I proclaim you as difference makers. Let's get going. Build this outstanding hospital in Karachi and serve the people and serve all people. And thank you for serving in the United States of America. God bless all of you. God bless the United States of America.
Thank you very much, Sheila Jackson Lee. And I still, for the young years, you were among the 15 who voted against the Iraq war. You're talking about saving lives. You were also the sponsor of now war against Iran. So you have been a friend of the Islamic community for a long time, and you personally know how much you have helped Houstonians in Houston and Karachi as sister cities, if you remember. So we have locally Dr. Shagufta Nafri, you know her very well, and Dr. Fahim. She is the president of the Imamiya Medics of the United medicine, and what a good way to do it on breast cancer awareness. Give a loud applause.